Hi, I want to get this quick blog thing out. Didn't start very well, did I? So, this is my blog on neural notching. Welcome to it. It's a mini blog. I'm going to attempt to do this in just a few minutes. I wanted to talk to you regularly online with you hearing my voice and in the style that we do some of our notes for the website. So, let's start here. Neural notching is a course I've just put out, hence I'm talking about it today. But neural notching is more than that. Neural notching is a completely made up term. It's a made up term that means nothing in science. And so, but people are curious about it because it sounds like it should. However, I made up neural notching because it explains really well the importance of skill and skill development. And so that especially when you're talking about conditioning. So lots of people don't condition within the skill. Lots of people condition for the skill. So the end result of that is often that the conditioning the athlete has isn't as good as it could be. What I've tried to do is come up with a way of explaining how we can do stuff, but how we can do stuff together with the skill development to get us some performance. And so what I've done here is I've shared with you how we apply neural notching in a performance environment with someone who has a high skill level who's just coming back into their game. So it's a really good athlete, and she works with one of our top trainers out in Atlanta. So what we did was we said, well, let's have a look at what we can do for this person. So they played tennis. So they're not bad at tennis. So we have a tennis player, and they've got some unique things about them. So they move around the court in short steps. In fact, when we first did the assessment, we thought everything was turn, step, shuffle, shuffle. And so we came up with tss. Later on, we found when we watched old videos that wasn't strictly speaking that true, and actually tss just happened going towards the net, but over to one side. And so what we did was we took the parameters of fitness, which were primarily coping with the continual bursts of movement around the court for such a long time. And so we took the parameters of fitness, and in those parameters we had a work-rest ratio, but within that work-rest ratio we had a full rest, but here we had another ratio, and that was work and then active recovery. So we had a certain amount of work active recovery that happened, and then there was a full rest of doing anything, and that was what we lined up with a game. So we looked at how much you move in a game, how long you're moving in a game, and then we started to work it out. So we said there's a certain amount of games per set, and so we said within each game there's a certain amount of points. And so what we've got is, this is our rest in between games, and this is our work to active rest in between points. And so that's how we built up the program. Then what we said was, well, what does this look like when we're training? Well, so we started and we said, well, let's get the tennis court in place. So let's put the nets in place and let's see what our client does. And what she did was she hung around here and bossed this area really well with short shuffles. Occasionally she needed to run out to one side or the other side to just beyond the end of the court and turn and run back. So that was a run to shuffle or shuffle to run, whatever she chose, and then the shot was played in this general area. And then we had two positions at the front of the court that we were interested in, and we put the coach here. We didn't actually do any tracking straight to the coach. We called these points at the front the tst zone, because that was turn, step, shuffle, shuffle. And what we wanted to do and what we were working on is Well, what are the movements in a game where she'll play a shot and then really struggle to recover to play the next shot? And what we worked out was this area is bossed. So, but when it's out to an area and back across, or out to an area and back across, the short step that serves so well to make sure all the shots are pretty much perfect can cause a problem because it takes time to get to these places. The other thing was that our client's serve wasn't the best serve. I mean, I'm not saying that I serve any better, but the serve wasn't great. So this area here, rather than her win a point and that's it, she'd have to hit the ball and then get around left and right and do a little more work. Now we thought we could bring that to our advantage, and so the way we went to bring that to our advantage is just get her fit enough to win games by pure fitness and getting around this court and busting this centre point, and let's work on this turn, this continual turn. Now our client was pretty awesome. She can run forever. She's very fit, very dedicated, as you'd expect someone who got to the level she did and who's on the way back to that. But whenever we put her in these scenarios, then that was when she found that hardest. So from she felt sort of a cardio perspective, that's when she found it hardest. Now I'm going to show you some drills we did based around sort of low intensity and in terms of unloaded, but the guy who set this up, Casey, did some really good drills using this to build things where we added in weight. What's really cool is this little diagram here we call the Doug, which we named after one of our trainers who's called Jeff. And what we did was we used the Doug to help us build this space to work in, but we could do anything on these stations. So this is quite a tennis-looking tennis drill, but we could have put resistance work or anything else in there. So if we move along, what we have to do when we start playing with these things is first we need to start working out, well, what do they feel like? I mean, are they good or not? And it might be that they're not. So what we did was we did a workout where we start to look at drills at running and getting to the net. Now this is not the thing we did to build the Doug that's named after Jeff. This is the thing we did, just what we call a cluster of exercises to try and get our client better at getting to the net. Now this here you can see is Casey. He's the guy who works with our client, and this thing that I'm just going to turn the volume up on, this is we call the Core Momentum Trainer. It's really good for striking sports because you only get a short, sharp resistance. You'll be able to hear it. It's not a long momentum like you get with a bar or like you saw with a Viper. It's a short, sharp reaction. And so I'm hoping you're hearing and we're not saying this is necessarily optimum for movement. What we're saying with this is that it's putting in so many variables, the skill of that get to the side and accelerate out is going to carry over, and then it's going to become easy within the game. So that this would be a set of drills we'd work on for coming to the net or playing a ball and then getting to the net. It's not, as I say, the thing that we ended up doing. So we ended up here. This is what I want to call Doug Live. And so with Doug Live, what we've got is we've got to work out. As you can see, it was really warm. So we're all in shorts, sunbathing. This is Atlanta. We put the skyline in the back just to score extra points. Now what we've got here is we've got our client, and we're trying to get her to get away from the cone with her hip first. And actually, this drill slowed her down. But I want to show it you because we play with drills anyway. When we then let her go and do things herself, she got a lot quicker. This is her running out to the spot. And so it's turn, step, shuffle, shuffle. So she gets there, lands, turn, step, shuffle, shuffle, and then she's back. This middle section, that's the shuffle section, that's what we use as our active rest. So you'll see the difference in the two as she moves around, and this is really nice. It's an interactive drill, so everything's going on the command of Casey. Now what we're doing here is we're using the shuffle zone, and we're using the arm just to change how the body feels as it moves around the shuffle zone. It's for no other reason than that. So if you choose to do the neural notching course, you'll really start to see what we mean about neural notching and how that works. So that was us building up this drill, and then what I've done is I've put the final drill on here for you to see, and so this is how it ended up. And you can see by this point we've worked on the ground quite a lot, but I just want to show you how it looks when we're going at it full tilt. So we've got Casey calling out the places to go to, and we're trying to make it difficult. We're trying to make it so the shots are realistic, but there's recovery shots in there. And so it's a little bit of work, and then active rest, and then we're not calling these positions are just happening. And then we go straight into our next set of drills. And this is, at the moment, we're just randomly calling spacers, but as we get close to the game and competition, then Casey will make this more about the competitor that she'll be playing, and so that's kind of cool too. So Mel's a great athlete to train. Casey's a great trainer already. It was a pleasure for me to just stand and watch this thing we created, the Doug, named after Jeff. It was just great for me to be able to watch it be delivered so well and so professionally by someone who knows the sport and knows their client. So these movements are really cool. Look, you can see that they're kicking in. We actually, on that last one, put a little more time to it than we did the others, just because we were trying to get her up to full pace, and she was coming back out of injury. So the whole idea behind neural notching is that a neural notch is a point in the body where there's an ability to change direction at pace. Neural notching is having multiple points of those and bringing them together, so it's really the skill. Skill development comes from meaningful practice, which is low coaching of technique, high coaching of external goals to get to, and then putting that into the kind of energy system requirement that matches the environment that they'll get to play and work in. And that's what we did here. So I hope you enjoyed this blog. I'm going to try and do quite a few more shorter blogs for you. If you have any requests, just write them in the blog post below this, in the little Facebook thing below this. If you're watching this on YouTube, just write them in there as a comment. And then I'll go out and try and get you some answers or give you my ideas on those. So I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed talking into my iPad. The software I used is something called Explain Everything, and it's a really cool way of working with someone. You can draw on the app, and you can do all kinds of other cool stuff that if you need to do it. So it's a really good way of teaching people. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon sometime.